Welcome back to the dojo. This is a yellow belt lesson, which means I will assume you can write a class and call a method, and nothing beyond that. Everything else I will define as we go. If the channel is useful to you, subscribing helps it reach more people. Let's train. Here's a piece of code I have written and reviewed more times than I would like to admit. We have a list of orders. We have a list of customers. For every order, we walk the whole customer list looking for the one whose identifier matches. It works. Every test passes. And it is quietly one of the most expensive things in the file. Look at what it actually does. For one order, we compare against every customer until we find a match. For 1,000 orders and 1,000 customers, that is up to 1,000,000 comparisons. For a job the computer could do in 1,000. Nothing is broken. Nothing throws. The code is simply asking the wrong container to do the work. Picture the scroll rack at the back of the dojo. 200 scrolls, rolled up, stacked in a long row. No labels. You want the one on footwork. There is exactly one way to find it. Take the first scroll, unroll it, read it, roll it back, take the second. On a good day, it is near the front. On a bad day, it is the 200th. Now picture the wall beside it. 200 pigeonholes, each with a small brass plate. Footwork, breathing, grip, stance. You want footwork. You do not search. You walk to the slot marked footwork and put your hand in. It takes the same amount of time whether the wall holds 20 slots or 20,000. That difference, searching versus going straight there, is the whole of this lesson. Before lists, there were arrays. An array is a fixed block of slots for values of one type, and you must say how many slots you want at the moment you create it. 10 customers, 10 slots. That is fine right up until the 11th customer walks in, because an array cannot grow. Its size is decided once, and it is decided forever. So you start managing storage by hand. You guess high and carry empty slots you have to skip, or you guess low and copy everything into a bigger array when you run out. You track how many slots are actually used in a counter of your own. And the day that counter and the array disagree, you get an index out of range exception in production. None of that is your business logic. All of it is bookkeeping. The fix is a list. A list is a collection that grows and shrinks as you add and remove things, and it does the copying you were doing by hand, quietly, underneath. You will see it written list, angle bracket, string, angle bracket. Those angle brackets are C# asking you a question. A list of what? Answer, string. And the compiler will only ever let strings in or out. That is called a generic type. And the answer you give is the type argument. Once you have one, 4 members do most of the work. Add puts an item on the end. Count tells you how many are in there right now. And it is a property, not a method. The square brackets get you the item at a position, counting from 0. And remove takes the item itself back out. No resizing, no counter of your own, no empty slots to skip. This matters because of what you stop writing. The array version had you thinking about capacity, copying, and indexes. 3 things that have nothing to do with orders or customers. The list version has you thinking about what is in the collection and what you want to do with it. Few removing parts is not a style preference here. Every counter you do not maintain is a bug you cannot ship. Let's build one line at a time. We start with the declaration. On the left, list, angle bracket, string is the type, a list that holds strings and nothing else. On the right, new list, angle bracket, string, with empty round brackets, creates one. It starts with nothing in it. We have called the variable students. Now we put something in it. Add takes one item and appends it to the end. So the order you add is the order they sit in. 3 calls, 3 students, and the list has quietly resized itself to fit them without being asked. There is no capacity to declare and nothing to copy. To read them back, we use for each. Read that line out loud as, for each string called name, in students. C# hands you each item in turn, front to back, and the loop body runs once per item. And count, on the line below, is how many items are in the list at this moment. It goes up when you add and down when you remove, and you never set it yourself. You can also reach straight into a position. Square brackets with a number give you the item at that index, and indexes start at 0, so student 0 is the first one. Insert puts an item at a position and shuffles everything after it along. Remove takes out the first item equal to the one you hand it. RemoveAt takes out whatever is sitting at a position. Lists are not only for strings. Here is a small customer class with an identifier and a name, and a list angle bracket customer holding 3 of them. The list does not care what the type is. Whatever you put in the angle brackets is what it will hold, and the compiler enforces it, so a customer list will never accidentally contain an order. Run it, and this is what comes back. 3 names in the order they were added, a count of 3, the first student by index, and then the same list after a removal. 2 names and a count of 2. Nothing surprising, and that is the point. The collection kept its own house in order while we got on with the work. Now the harder question. We have a list of customers, and we have an order carrying a customer identifier. How do we find the customer? The honest answer with a list is, we look. We start a variable at null, walk the list from the front, test each customer, and stop at the first one whose identifier matches. There is a one-line version of this in the framework called first or default, and it does exactly the same thing underneath. It reads beautifully. It is still a search. Here is what that costs. With 10 customers, a miss walks all 10. With 10,000, a miss walks all 10,000. Put that lookup inside a loop over orders, which is exactly what the code at the start of this lesson did, and the 2 numbers multiply. 10,000 orders against 10,000 customers is 100 million comparisons. To answer a question the computer should be able to answer instantly. What we want is the pigeonhole wall. That is a dictionary. A dictionary stores pairs. A key, which is the label on the slot, and a value, which is what you keep inside it. You write it dictionary, angle bracket, key type, comma, value type. Dictionary angle bracket, int, comma, customer, is a wall of slots labeled with an integer identifier, each holding 1 customer. And it does not search. When you hand it a key, it runs that key through a hash function, a small calculation that turns the key into a number, and that number tells it which slot to look in. 1 calculation, 1 look. The wall can hold 10 slots or 10 million, and the work of finding 1 is the same. That is the property worth remembering. The cost does not grow with the size of the collection. So the rule of thumb is not that dictionaries are faster than lists. It is that they answer a different question. A list answers what is in here and in what order. A dictionary answers what is filed under this label. When your code keeps asking for one particular item by something that identifies it, you are asking the dictionary question, and a list will answer it, slowly, every single time. Same approach, 1 line at a time. Dictionary angle bracket int, comma, customer is the type. Integer keys, customer values. New dictionary of the same type creates it empty. We have called it Customers by ID, and naming it that way is worth doing because the name tells the next reader what the key means. Now we file 3 customers. Square brackets with the key on the left of the equal sign puts a value into that slot. If the slot is empty, it fills it. If something is already there, it replaces it without complaint. There is also an add method, and it behaves differently. We will come back to that in the mistakes. Reading is the mirror image. Square brackets with a key on the right of the equal sign hand you back whatever is in that slot. No loop, no condition, no walking. If the key is not there, this line throws a key not found exception, which is a real risk, and it is the reason for the next line. TryGetValue is the safe form, and it does 2 jobs at once. It returns true or false to say whether the key was found, and if it was, it hands the value out to the second argument. The word out in front of that argument means the method fills that variable in for you. So one call gives you the answer and the check together, and nothing throws. You can still walk the whole thing when you want to. For each over a dictionary gives you 1 pair at a time, and each pair has a key and a value. There is also dot keys for just the labels, and dot values for just the contents. Worth knowing, the order you get them back is not guaranteed to be the order you put them in, so never rely on it. Run it, and the lookup by identifier comes back immediately with the right customer. The TryGetValue call on a key that does not exist returns false and leaves the customer as null with no exception thrown. And the walk over all pairs prints every identifier and name. The same data as the list version, answering a different question. Mistake 1, and it is the one from the opening. A loop over orders with a search over customers inside it. The fix is 1 line before the loop. Build the dictionary once, then look up inside the loop. Building it costs 1 pass over the customers. After that, every lookup is a single step. Mistake 2. Reaching into a dictionary with square brackets for a key that might not be there. That throws a key not found exception, and it usually throws in production. On the one identifier, nobody tested. If you are certain the key exists, square brackets are fine. If you are not certain, use TryGetValue. Mistake 3. Add throws an argument exception if the key is already present. It refuses to overwrite. Square brackets overwrite silently. Neither is wrong. They are 2 different intentions. Use add when a duplicate is a bug you want to hear about. Use square brackets when last one wins is what you meant. And try add returns false instead of throwing, when you want neither. Mistake 4. Assuming a dictionary remembers insertion order. It does not promise to. Today's runtime may hand items back in the order you added them, and that is an accident of the implementation, not a guarantee. If order matters, keep a list as well, or sort explicitly when you read. Mistake 5, and it catches everyone once. Adding to or removing from a collection while a for each over that same collection is running throws an invalid operation exception. Collection was modified. The fix is to decide first and change after. Collect what you want to remove into a second list inside the loop. Then remove them once the loop is finished. So, an array is a fixed block of slots. A list grows and shrinks for you and answers what is in here and in what order. A dictionary files values under keys and answers what is under this label in 1 step, no matter how much it is holding. This week's drill. Open your own code. Find a for each with an if inside it that is hunting for 1 item by an identifier, and replace it with a dictionary built once outside the loop. If this lesson helped you, like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe. Train hard. See you in the dojo.